Top 10 crazy facts about the coronavirus outbreak. The standard positive thinking that accompanies another year didn't keep going long in 2020. Between the potential danger of a universal war, energized by the Iran-United States strife, and the genuine danger of a coronavirus, the previous hardly any months have been tense. These are alarming occasions, and the internet is by all accounts loaded up with bits of gossip and deception, and no limited quantity of pearl-clutching. Let's reasonable up the principle misguided judgment. The coronavirus isn't called COVID-19. Rather, COVID-19 is the name of the illness brought about by the infection. That infection has been named SARS-CoV-2, Serious Intense Respiratory Disorder Coronavirus 2. Consider it like AIDS and HIV. HELPS is the name of the illness. HIV is the infection that causes AIDS. Unlike our past Wuhan influenza records, we're going to keep things somewhat lighter here. We'll concentrate on the inquisitive side of the infection and the malady, including some fascinating subtleties we haven't secured at this point. Number 10. Discussion about misfortune. The Corona Lager logo has a crown on it. Corona signifies crown in Spanish and Latin. Adventitiously, the coronavirus got its name from the crown-like spikes on the outside of the infection particles. When a few people initially caught wind of the new infection, they were befuddled and may have related it with the Corona Lager brand. They may have even accepted that the infection was spread by drinking the brew. It has muddled the amount of an effect this mixed-up conviction has had on deals of the lager, as different sources have revealed various outcomes. As indicated by YouGov, a British statistical surveying firm, Corona Brew's buzz score, a proportion of the ubiquity of the brand, has dropped from 75 to 51 since the start of 2020. Number 9. It's practically similar to the coronavirus is attempting to take out any observers. In a disrupting incongruity, Li Wenliang kicked the bucket in the wake of contracting COVID-19. Li, a Chinese specialist who worked at Wuhan Central Hospital, was known for being vocal about the perils of this rising virus, at least as ahead of schedule as December 30, 2019. Li cautioned individual surgeons about the chance of an episode. The Chinese police exhorted him to quit, offering bogus remarks, in an administration endeavor to hide the circumstance where no one will think to look.
But still didn't pull through, and those left don't dare to speak out.
He showed a responsible attitude towards society. He's honest and faithful. So I think the entire community should reflect on this.
There are so many things we can't discuss or talk about. I'll just say, Dr. Li made a huge contribution.
After Li's terrible demise, a major piece of the Chinese populace was justifiably disturbed. This pushed the hashtags, Wuhan government owes Dr. Li Wenliang an expression of remorse, and we need the right to speak freely of discourse, to incline on Weibo, a Chinese web-based life website. The Chinese government rushed to blue pencil both hashtags, too. This most recent discussion just adds fuel to the troublesome connection between Chinese specialists and the populace. In 2019, the pressure between terrain China and Hong Kong arrived at a limit because of opposition from Hong Kong against the administration's strategies. Number 8. Chinese researchers have discovered that people are similarly prone to be contaminated by the coronavirus. Be that as it may, fatalities in China have happened at a pace of 2.8% for men contrasted with 1.7% for ladies, recommending that men are bound to pass on when contaminated. Remember that these measurements may downplay the pace of disease in the two gatherings, so these rates could be changed with new information. 3. At present, the most likely explanation behind the sex distinction can be ascribed to something that researchers definitely knew. The female insusceptible reaction is more grounded than that of males. Although the specific purpose behind this is as yet obscure, it is accepted to be connected to either the more significant levels of estrogen hormone in ladies or the way that every lady has two X chromosomes instead of a man's one X chromosome. Both factors add to insusceptibility. This sexual orientation distinction could happen for developmental reasons, as ladies need to stay sound for delayed occasions to endure kids and sustain them. Number 7. As of this composition, we are around a quarter of a year into this new pestilence. Is there any genuine purpose behind panic? At first look, it appears that there may be. In a flat-out sense, Wuhan influenza has just executed a greater number of individuals than SARS, extreme intense respiratory condition, which was brought about by another strain of coronavirus in the mid-2000s. In any case, the rates tell an alternate story. As of this composition, 101,906 individuals have contracted COVID-19 and 3,465 have passed on of it. Then again, 8,098 individuals turned out to be sick with SARS and 774 died. Up until now, the general demise rate from COVID-19 gives off an impression of being 3.4%, while the casualty rate from SARS was an astounding 9.6%. Of course, any passings from COVID-19 are too much. Be that as it may, a significant concern with respect to this sickness is the manner by which effectively, and subtly, it can spread. In the event that you are inside 1.8 meters 6 feet of a contaminated individual, you are viewed as in danger. That makes any metro a potential problem area for contamination. Furthermore, it can take as long as about 14 days for an individual to create side effects. That makes this new infection nearly as simple to contract as the basic bug, yet COVID-19 is unmistakably increasingly deadly. Number 6. The worldwide economy carries on to some degree like a living being, and it began 2020 with a frightful bug. As per the World Bank, the underlying projections for worldwide development in 2020 were 2.5%, marginally over the post-emergency low recorded in 2019. To exacerbate the situation, the coronavirus plague is influencing China, one of the most remarkable economies on the planet. As indicated by a February 2020 Reuters survey of financial specialists in China, the country's yearly monetary development in the main quarter of 2020 is relied upon to decrease to 4.5% from around 6.0% in the past quarter. Much of this is because of the flare-up, and it's required to influence every one of us. Notwithstanding, these financial experts foresee that monetary development could bounce back rather rapidly if the episode is successfully contained. How can this pestilence hurt the economy so dramatically? Well, individuals are substantially less slanted to travel and utilize different administrations right now since they fear being presented to the infection. Be that as it may, we ought to anticipate that an expansion in memberships should Netflix and other spilling stages as individuals marathon watch appears while stowing away in their homes. Number 5. Where there is the internet, there are paranoid ideas. The COVID-19 plague has been dealt with in a shockingly developed manner by individuals on the internet, aside from an image or two. Be that as it may, the flood of new cases outside Wuhan, particularly in South Korea and Italy, has driven a few people to be dubious. The puzzling passing of the informant didn't help, either. These hypotheses are false, in spite of the fact that they positively have pulled in the consideration of numerous individuals. As per one hypothesis, China built the coronavirus as a weapon. The infection was then discharged to make space for farming expansion. Even legislators appear to have scheme fever. U.S. Senator Tom Cotton additionally blamed the Chinese government for injustice. Number 4. Wuhan influenza isn't the main episode that began in China. Famously, SARS and the Asian influenza likewise began there. On the dread and vulnerability produced by this new pandemic, Asians need to manage bigotry and xenophobia. Anti-Chinese supposition has been developing in the previous 2 months. These responses are maybe justifiable yet certainly not sensible. The vast majority of the spread to different countries is expected to non-Asians visiting China and coming back to their nations as opposed to the reverse way around. Reports of xenophobia against Chinese individuals are getting normal. "Yo, infection kid. Try not to taint us," was shouted at a Chinese-Canadian understudy in Vancouver. In another model, the hashtag #ChineseDon T come to Japan was inclining on Twitter among Japanese clients. Then again, the Chinese government making light of or by and large lying about the infection isn't improving the situation much. Number 3. Would lightning be able to strike a similar spot twice? All things considered, indeed, that is the general purpose of flood arresters. Lamentably, with regards to the coronavirus, a similar rule applies. Let's state you got the infection and had the option to bob back. You are fine, right? No, not so much. As of late, a Japanese lady was determined to have COVID-19 for the subsequent time. The lady is a visit transport control in Osaka, which makes her all the more handily presented to contamination because of the quantity of individuals with whom she interacts. That news is horrid in light of the fact that it increases the potential effect of the malady. Moreover, it makes the advancement of a successful antibody less reasonable. Researchers are as yet attempting to make sense of how the coronavirus can contaminate a similar individual twice, or if there is another clarification for the twofold positive outcomes. Number 2. Now, numerous individuals have caught wind of the most plausible source of the coronavirus, bats. China has gained notoriety for having an impossible-to-miss nearby cooking, as wild creatures can be purchased at open-air advertisers and eaten. One local delicacy incorporates a purportedly flavorful and very unpleasant bat soup. Scientists are as of now attempting to figure out which creature is answerable for transmitting the infection to people, yet they are as yet uncertain. Two other potential offenders incorporate snakes and pangolins. 9. If you're new to pangolins, they are lovable, well-evolved creatures with flaky bodies that can twist into a ball when under danger. Pangolins can be found normally in Asia and Africa. Be that as it may, these animals are dealt everywhere throughout the world since they are viewed as a delicacy. It makes you imagine that this entire fiasco could have been maintained a strategic distance from if individuals would simply disregard wild creatures. Number 1. On the off chance that you were in New York toward the beginning of February 2020, you may have gone over a Make Sense of Strait of Isaac Asimov's I, Robot. This computerized paramedic was made by Promobot, a Pennsylvania-based organization. The droid was being tried in and around parks. Supposedly, the 152-centimeter-tall, 5 feet 0 inches robot could screen for the coronavirus by meandering the lanes inquiring as to whether they had fevers. In Bryant Park, the robot was immediately restricted for not having a permit. Some people who encountered the droid depicted it as adorable. Others suspected it was needless excess and frightening. They clearly didn't realize that the bot can move to Pitbull and sing Beatles tunes. Oleg Kvorkutsev, the author of Promobot, clarified, "We were attempting to inform individuals concerning the infection and bring regard for the issue.